So I've been in HR for 18 years, almost 18 years now, and have absolutely hated it until I found Zappos. Over the last 8 years that I've worked at Zappos, I've had the opportunity to really practice HR and people processes in a way that makes sense and that really help to define how I think HR should run. We are able to manage to the 95% that get it right, not the 5% that get it wrong. We're able to, at Zappos, to be able to put in policies that make sense, not policies that are unenforceable and that just protect us for quote-unquote legal reasons. We get to take risks, and we get to do a lot of different things that really make sense for people in an organization and not just looking out for the best interest of the corporation, so to speak. So that's a little bit about me. But before we go into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about what Zappos is. It started with a shoe and a crazy idea. So we decided we wanted to sell shoes online. And that was crazy back in the day because everybody needed to try on shoes. Nobody wanted to order them online and have to send them back. So we decided in that process, we're going to be the best customer service company out there, the best company that sells shoes online. We are a customer service company that happens to sell shoes. So we started that. That was our vision. And then we went from there to, we want to be the best company for employees, a best place to work. Because if we treat our employees well, they're going to give us the best customer service to our customers. And so we focused on being the best company to work for. And then we said, does that make sense to our investors and to our vendors that we're working with? We're looking at our customers, we're looking at our employees, but what about our investors and our vendors? So we came to the vision, and what we stand by today is what we want to do is to deliver happiness. And that's who we are as a company. So to get there, our CEO, Tony Hsieh, he owned a company called Link Exchange before he ran Zappos. They got to about 100 employees at Link Exchange. And in that process, he found that he didn't like coming to work anymore. It wasn't fun. He wasn't having a good time. He wasn't doing anything that excited him. And he found that he didn't like the people he was working with, and that was creating the environment that wasn't that much fun. So when he started Zappos, he said, before we do anything, we need to put together some core values. So he went to every employee in the company, and he said, what do you want to see from the person sitting next to you? What type of behavior do you want them to exhibit? Who do you want that person to be? And everybody at the company at the time sent in their responses, what they wanted to see from their employees. We pared those down to 39 core values. Now, 39 core values is a lot. We can't have 39 core values. It'd be a lot to remember. So we pared them down to these 10. And we went through the process with every employee in the company and said, what should these 10 be? How should we do this? What do we define the company as? These are our 10 core values that we came up with the first one to be deliver wow through service. And in that process, delivering wow through service, if you look at the ones underneath them, all of them lead back to that deliver wow through service. If you're passionate and determined, you're going to deliver wow. If you pursue growth and learning, you're going to deliver wow. If you're adventurous and creative and open-minded, you're going to deliver wow. So it all comes back to how do we do that? That's who we are as a company. So this is Tony, and he said at the time, we want a list of committable core values that we are willing to hire and fire on. If we weren't willing to do that, they aren't really values. So we had to be willing to, in the good times and the bad, to really look at these values, to hire and fire on them in everything that we do, make them a part of our lives. So how did we start doing that? We started from the minute somebody applied for a job. They came in, we decided from the recruiting process, we're going to hire slowly. We're not going to hire fast. We're going to take our time to hire people because we not only want to make sure that they fit in our sense, but they feel that they fit into the company because Zappos isn't for everybody. So what we do is we have a technical interview, a technical screen by the people in the departments that say, this is the person that really has the technical skills to do this job. This is a person that's going to fit within the team that we have and really look at that aspect. But then we have a group of recruiters that look at the culture fit. So we have behavioral-based questions that lead back to our 10 core values. And the recruiters go through as a neutral third party in that process to really say, is this person going to fit into the culture? If that answer is no, they don't get hired. And it doesn't matter how smart or how much they'll move the needle technically in the position that they're in. If they're not somebody that's going to fit into the culture, they don't get hired, because you could have the smartest person, the best technical person in the job, but if they don't believe in what you're doing and if they don't follow and understand the values that you have, they're going to do more harm than good at the end of the day. And so we really hire for that culture fit. We also have a 4-week training. So everybody in the company goes through a 4-week customer service training, and regardless of position. You could be hired in as a C-level executive or as a call center rep. You all go through the same training. It's 4 weeks long, and you learn how to use our systems. You learn how to answer the phones. You learn what it means to deliver customer service and deliver wow at Zappos. And you learn about our core values. In that process, everybody has to be there at 7 a.m. Doesn't matter. You could be Tony. He went through the class. You could be the CEO. If you don't get there at 7 a.m., you have to start the class over again from day one in the next training class. Doesn't matter. And you answer the phones. Everybody takes 2 weeks and answers phone calls. We do this not only for people to understand who we are as a company and understand our core values, but also all of our employees answer the phones during the holidays. So everybody gets on to help out. You can call in during the holidays to order a product, and you can talk to Tony directly to get your order. Anybody in the company, we all answer phone calls because it's who we are in our DNA. As part of that culture and customer service related training, at the end of that, we have a program where we actually offer people money to quit. So at the end of that training program, we offer you 1 month's salary to leave the company. And we say, this isn't for you. We totally understand. We want you to be able to get to the next place and do the things that you want to do. So we'll give you a month's salary to do that. And go home and think about it. You have 3 days to go home and think about it. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, decide what you want to do. So people are actually making the commitment to join us, making the commitment to be a part of us in that process. And they're making that choice. So we get about 2% of the people that once they get in, they say it's a little too crazy for me. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can sit at a cubicle and have a parade come by my desk every day or see a camel walking through the office. But it's one of those things that people get to make that commitment up front. And then, like I talked about, we hire slowly, but we also fire quickly. We don't practice progressive discipline. We look at the situation. We look at it employee by employee, and we see, are these people fitting in? Are they the people that we want to be around? And if they're not, we expedite that process and figure out the best way to exit those people from the company. The other thing we do around culture is really there's no culture department. There's no department where somebody holds the job of being in charge of culture. Culture is everybody's job in the company. It's everybody's job to figure out how to drive the culture, how to be a part of the culture, the things that they do in their everyday life, what that means. One of the things we did a few years ago now from an HR perspective is we came to the company and we said HR will no longer be the drivers of performance reviews. We're not going to do it. They don't make sense. They're pretty much worthless. They're a crutch for a manager. And it doesn't make sense for HR, who knows nothing about being a software developer, to be the driver of a process that evaluates a software developer. That doesn't make sense. So what we're going to do is we'll leave that to you guys as the departments, as the technical experts. How you want to give performance feedback is up to you in your department. What we're going to do from an HR perspective is we're going to evaluate culture. We're going to give assessments on culture so employees really understand how they're living and breathing our core values every single day, what they're doing out there, where they need work, where they're doing well, and how their colleagues see them practicing those core values. So we built a tool, and we started a Z60, we call it a Z60 review. And it goes out, and again, it's behavioral-based questions that lead back to our 10 core values. And it allows people to see what core values people are seeing them exhibit every single day, and what ones they're not exhibiting as well and they need work on. It also connects people. So we have a system that puts people together where maybe I'm having a hard time with being adventurous and creative and open-minded, but it'll connect me with somebody who they're very strong in that core value. They do that every single day. It's one of the things that people admire about them. And so I have the opportunity to connect with that person and say, help me in that process. Tell me how I do this better. Talk to me about this. And I get to connect with somebody that I don't know. I get to learn. I get to get better in the things I do and help live the culture better. So it's an awesome process for people. It's also, we have classes that are supported through Zappos University that help people understand how to live and breathe those core values better. The other thing we do is we really empower employees, and we trust our employees to do the right things. And we do that from the standpoint of we have as little policies as possible. We don't try to overrule people, don't put in too many rules. We let people be organic, and we let them go out and do things. We trust them to do the right thing. And what I found, and I've been in very corporate, traditional HR backgrounds previous to Zappos, and what I found is we actually have less problems by trusting people and throwing the rules out than we did when we had a rule for everything. And so when you really trust your people, 99% of the time, they're going to do it right. And that 1% you can deal with on a case-by-case basis. There doesn't have to be a rule for everything. So I want to talk about an organizational design that we're moving into. We're changing how we're organized as a company. So to give you a little history, GM around 100 years ago came up with an organizational design. It was to help increase efficiency, breaking people off into functional areas, really building a hierarchy to help create efficiency and move their company forward. In that process, you have an organizational chart similar to this. So you have the leader at the top, you have multiple leaders throughout the organization, and then you have the workers down at the bottom. In this design, this worker here, he has a great idea. He thinks of something that's really going to move the company forward. We're really excited. Everything's going to work. He decides he wants to share this idea, and he happens to be friends with his boss's boss. So he goes out with his boss's boss, and he shares his idea. He says, this is a great idea. The boss's boss loves it. He thinks it's going to move the company forward. Everything's great. Goes back to his boss, and his boss finds out that he shared this great idea with his boss's boss, right? Now, politics all over that, right? Boss gets mad. All of a sudden, the idea is getting discredited. All of a sudden, this employee who had this great idea gets lost in this bureaucratic, political atmosphere because he didn't follow the proper chain of command. So what we want to do is we want to create an organizational design that eliminates all of that. And we're using a concept called holacracy. It breaks down the bureaucracy. It gives everyone a voice. It increases visibility. It makes us adaptable and much more efficient. We do that by self-organizing. So Gary just mentioned the concept of taking away managers, of taking away that hierarchy. That's exactly what we're talking about. We need leaders. We need strong leaders to be mentors, but not strong leaders to tell people what to do. We want people to self-organize. We want people to own their positions and own their authority. We want to distribute the authority across the organization instead of just holding it with a select few people. So in this process, we take down bureaucracy and politics that happens, and we increase visibility, adaptability, efficiency, and we give our employees a voice, which I think is the most important part. We give them a pathway to process their ideas, to process their tensions. And tensions meaning a gap of what is and what could be. So it's not always negative. It's not always a complaint. It could be an idea that moves the company forward. But they have a way to process that, a way to get their voice heard in the process. Here's some key elements of the design. It really looks at the purpose of the organization. So everything is designed around the purpose of the organization. And then that purpose is brought down into other circles, and they have their own purpose that feed the greater purpose. So the scope of work that happens in the circle all feeds the purpose. And the work is organized around that purpose and around the work. So all of a sudden, it's not about the heroic leader that everybody looks to do everything, but it's about the work that needs to be done to fulfill that purpose. And then people are placed into roles from there. Once somebody's placed into a role, they have the complete authority to do what they need to do to energize that role and to make things happen within the organization. Each circle goes through a governance process. So it's a meeting where you talk about and you make proposals, and there are reactions and questions. There could be objections. There's an integration around but you really talk through the circle and you talk to everybody and make proposals and decide how are you going to govern the work? How are you going to be organized in that circle to get that work done? And then you have operational meetings or tactical meetings. And the tactical meetings are meetings that allow you to list projects and list next actions. So all of us have had personal projects, right? Like maybe cleaning out your garage, for example. Lot to do. You look at it, my garage personally is a mess. So I look at it and I say, I don't even want to think about it. We'll just pretend it doesn't exist. But if you break it down into next steps, a simple next step like call to get a dumpster delivered, find out how much it costs. That's my first step. Okay, so I'm going to call and find out how much it is to deliver a dumpster to the house so I can start cleaning out the garage. Okay, I've checked off one thing. I'm one step closer to getting that project done. So if you break it down into next steps, all of a sudden that project is so much easier to finish because it's just little pieces instead of looking at the whole. We've seen a ton of efficiency by using this process in just breaking down projects into the next steps. So here's a computer, picture of one of the first computers. And we talk about innovation. We haven't innovated how a company organizes itself in about 100 years. So if you look at this computer, if we innovated technology the way we innovate the workplace, we would all still be using this computer. So just think about that in the process. Another thing we're doing at Zappos is we're really looking at building connections and collisionable hours with employees within the community and really allowing people to stretch and to learn from other people. The more collisions, the more serendipitous interactions that we have, we learn more, we create more, we become better. And so we have all of these different things that we do to help encourage employees to do that. We offer speaker series in downtown Las Vegas to get Zappos employees to collide with the community, to learn. We bring in speakers for free for the community and for Zappos employees to go and to learn and to collide with each other and to talk and to connect. One of the things that I thought was amazing, and it really showed the commitment to our core values, the use of holacracy in our company, and the collisions aspect is we had 2 employees that were passionate and determined about a local zoo. It was an interactive zoo. A local zoo, they had some issues. They needed to make some renovations or they'd be shut down. It was about $250,000 that they needed to raise, and they didn't have the money, so they were going to shut down this zoo. The zoo was an amazing place. You got to interact with the animals. It was a lot of fun, especially for Las Vegas, which is in the middle of the desert, so you don't have a lot of those types of things there. So these two employees were passionate about saving this zoo. So they started Facebook campaigns, asking their friends to donate some money to the zoo. And so they said, let's use Zappos. Let's go and do the things that we need to do. And they brought a zoo on campus. And they allowed the zoo to flourish and to strive. And they made the money to do it. And they saved the zoo. Now, the zoo's not there today. Obviously, it went back to where it was supposed to be. But it was amazing. It was amazing to see. So the other thing we do are a lot of different programs. One of them is we started was our wellness program a couple of years ago. So when we started our wellness program, we thought, what are the different things that we needed to do? We needed a face for our wellness program. So that's the athletic person, right? The person that knows what to do. You admire. They can run marathons. They can hike mountains. They can do all of those amazing things. And then we thought, we admire those people. I thought, that's not something I can do. I'm never going to be that person. So I want somebody that I can relate to. I want somebody who's doing something that I can see I can do that too. So we decided to start our wellness program, and I became the face of the wellness program. And I said, I need to live better. I need to live a better lifestyle. And so I'm going to get up and I'm going to say, if I can do it, you can do it. And so we started a wellness program. This is me. This is how we started our wellness program. I was 260 pounds. Thank you. I was 260 pounds or 18 stone. I just learned that. That's new for me. But with the help of Zappos and with the trusted community that I had there and with the ability to be myself and the ability to do things that I was passionate about, I was able to lose 85 pounds or 6 stone. So it was just amazing. And I did this through programs like our endurance reimbursement program that we have for employees, where we reimburse races. If you want to run a 5K, a half marathon, a marathon, a 10K, be part of a triathlon, we'll reimburse your entry fee if you go and you complete that. We have different programs, runners clubs, and things like that, where people can get together and do things together and connect over those types of things. We also have Weight Watchers programs where people can learn how to eat better in nutrition. So really bringing people together. The other program that we have that I love is our Wishes program. And it's where employees can put in an anonymous wish. And it can be anything from a cup of coffee to a new car. And employees go on there and they grant these wishes. They grant them on their own. It's not company driven. It's all organic. And I've seen things granted from a cup of coffee to a car. Somebody was trading in their car, and instead of getting the trade-in value for the car, they gave their car to the person that needed a car in the company. We had a person who was having a baby. She needed a stroller. Her team got together on their own and granted her wish and got her everything possible for a new baby, from the stroller to the car seat to a bassinet to clothes, diapers. It was a parade of people coming through with gifts for her, so she had everything she needed for her baby. So it's just an environment that allows people to do something different. We do this by building relationships. Having our mentors, having in the nutrition world our old managers, but our hashtag mentors now, to spend time with their employees outside of work, 10 to 20% of their time, nothing to do with work, just getting to know who they are through happy hours, team buildings, off-sites, working in classes, charity-driven events, those types of things. Culture is our number one priority. So when you really look at it, people will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how they made you feel, how you made them feel. That comes from the late Maya Angelou, and it's amazing. So I want to close with one last story, and it's about a customer service rep that we have at Zappos. He took a phone call to help somebody return a pair of shoes. During that conversation to return the shoes, he found out that her mother had just passed away. So he wanted to do something special for her. And so because he's trusted to make decisions on his own, use his best judgment, he sent UPS to the house so she didn't have to worry about dropping off the package. Sent him to the house to pick up the package. It was an extra cost. We covered the cost. The customer was blown away just at that little piece. But after they got off the phone, he decided, you know what? I want to send her flowers. I want her to know that somebody's thinking about her. I want her to know that we're here at this time. So he bought flowers for this person on the company's dime, sent it out, again, using his best judgment around the situation, sent the flowers out. This customer was so blown away, and she just happened to be a blogger, and she wrote a blog about her experience at Zappos. And she happened to be a very popular blogger, and so it got picked up by a lot of local media, a lot of national media. And we ended up getting hundreds of thousands of people just off of those two decisions that a customer service rep decided to make because he was empowered to do so. And so the only thing I want to say is if you trust your people, you inspire your people, and you give them the right environment to work in, they will make your brand for you. Thank you.
If a leader's not a hero, then what is she?
She is much more. So this was really hard for me in this process. We were the pilot group rolling out this new organizational design. And I was the person that took on everything. I was the person that I needed to show my worth in that aspect. I needed to be that person that could do everything. So I struggled with that process. But what I found, and what is much more powerful, is what I needed to do is not take up all the work and take that from people, but inspire people to do the right thing and realize the potential within themselves. So instead of being that heroic leader, I get to be an inspirational leader, where I get to help people realize their potential. And what that does is that brings more ideas to the table, more innovation to the table, and in actuality, at the end of the day, it makes my job much more important than it used to be.
Okay, got another question here at the front.
Hi, not just a question, more of a comment. So, Hollie, thank you for being so open. That was really great. And as a millennial, that was sort of one of the few people in the room. I just wanted to say it sounds like an amazing company to work for.
Oh, thank you. I like it.
Hi, Hollie. Not only millennials, I think, would like to work for your company. So many happy hours, etc. But one question I have about your recruiting. You said that you recruit or you hire, you interview upon a 50% fit with the corporate culture. Mm-hmm. And I was just curious about how do you measure that, or how do you do that in the recruitment process?
Sure. We have what we call a culture interview. And it's all based on behavioral-based questions that our recruiters ask that all lead back to our 10 core values. So the recruiter sits down for usually an hour to an hour and 15-minute interview with the final candidates that come on that are being considered for the job. They come on site. And they go through that hour to an hour and a half interview, and they evaluate them on the answers. And they're things, the type of questions they are things like, if you were a superhero, what superhero would you be? If you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you? They're questions like that. And the point is there's no right answer to the question. It's just that, are you willing to answer the question? Are you willing to be a part of the process? And so it's things like that where it's just questions to see how people react and how they answer the question. Not that there's a right or a wrong answer, to really see, are they going to be comfortable in the environment? But it's all based on a interview, behavioral-based questions in an interview process that was developed by our recruiting team.
That was a great speech, and in fact, I just wanted to give you some accolades, because many of you are international here, but Zappos is in the newspaper all the time, Fast Company magazine, and so my students, I teach undergraduate in business, master's degree, and doctoral level, and I always ask them one question, to go research the top companies in the United States and who they would want to work for. And Zappos is always in the top 2. So great job, and thank you for coming here.
Thank you very much.